later on and went into these same gods, went into the Egyptians' power source, and they started worshiping these deities. Read on. These were their gods. Read on.
And despised one another's sacred and accustomed rites, and were very angry one with another on that account.
There were so many gods. There were so many gods. Monotheism among the Egyptians that no different groups had arguments about these different gods. You had a cat that was worshipped. You had birds that was worshipped. You had a bull head and on top of a man's body, and an eagle's head on top of a man's body. All these different types of gods was being worshipped in Egypt, and they had all these different names, which is dealing with nothing but demonology. All the blacks that's claiming to dwell in Egyptology and study these different gods are dealing with nothing but demons and devils. And that's not the knowledge that the Most High gave Israel to worship. This is the reason that Israel fell as a nation, because they went according to these other nations. Now we're coming back to show you the right way of serving the Most High, in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding the righteousness, and dealing with His holy oracles and His divine laws, which doesn't deal with any divinities of any deities of demons. The Most High says serve Him and serve Him only. He's one power. And that's what we try to bring you back to. All of Israel coming back under one power, Yahweh. And His Son that died for us was Jesus Christ. That's the Greek name. His name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shai. Another word they use in the scriptures is Yashiyah, because there's no J in Hebrew. So we're going to go on and read what Abraham said about the Egyptians. Read on.
Abram conferred with each of them, and confuting the reasonings, they made use of every one for their own practices, demonstrated that such reasonings were vain and void of truth.
So Abraham had discussions with these Egyptian heads and computed with them and came to the conclusion that what they was talking about, these different demons and gods that they were dealing with, was the Egyptians was border understanding and truth. They didn't have no understanding. Now Abraham going to go further to tell you what he showed these Egyptians. Read on.
Whereupon he was admired by them in those conferences as a very wise man.
Yeah, they looked up to Abraham just like they looked up to Solomon. When the nations came to Solomon, they were surprised. They was left in a state of Victoria. They was highly educated on the wisdom of Solomon, just like they was highly educated on the wisdom of Abraham. He was a wise man, and he dwelt in the land of Egypt. He went down into the land of Egypt. That's what we're reading about now. He showed them different things on arithmetic, on astrology, and they came to the conclusion that this is a great, wise man, that they didn't know nothing. So we here to show you, so-called Negroes, that we are the people that has the knowledge, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that was given to us by the Heavenly Spirit, the Most High, by our Father, the Most High. And that you don't have to dwell on none of these African doctrines, on none of these African deities and demonic powers and gods. Don't you know that the Egyptians had us in captivity? Don't you know that when the Lord gave the power to Moses and Aaron to show signs to the pharaohs to deliver us out of the hands of our oppressors, our slave masters, which were black, which were Egyptians, that the Most High also let the Egyptians show their little power on the left-hand side with demons, worshiping demon gods and so forth. We don't have to deal with demons. We're dealing with the right forces, the right-hand forces of the Most High, not the left-hand forces, because the righteousness will prevail over the negative side. Righteousness will prevail over evil. And now is our time to come up into the righteousness of the Most High. And with this is power. The so-called Negroes here in America would not receive power. They would not acclaim the power until they come back to the right order of who they are. They're going to finagle around and continue to go in circles of destruction and confusion until they come on the right-hand side of the Most High. This is what we're trying to show you tonight. Read on.
A very wise man and one of great sagacity, when he had discourse on any subject he undertook.
When he discoursed on any subject he undertook. He could talk about the stars, the heavens, astrology. He could talk about science. He could talk about elements. He could talk about mathematics. He could talk about anything, the elements, anything that he decided he wanted to talk about. Abraham could expound on it. Where did wisdom come from? The Most High. Who gave Abraham the wisdom? The Most High. Who gave us the wisdom? The Most High. Read on.
And this, not only in understanding it, but in persuading other men also to assent to him. He communicated to them in arithmetic.
Like the high priest said earlier tonight, the great pyramids that was built, a lot of you blacks out here in the United States of America and around the world, you think that the Egyptians built the pyramids, you're a fool. The Israelites built the pyramids. You have a lack of understanding when I call you a fool. You have the lack of understanding. You have the lack of not having knowledge. The scripture said that my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And you're forever learning and never coming to the knowledge of the truth of what's really going on, what the Most High is really about, and who the Most High chose as his people. And now you're in the last days. Time is running out. Time is running out for you to accept the truth and deal with the truth and go out and research and find out for yourself the truth. You're going to run around to this African-centered BS until the Most High come and fall on you and put you to death in these last days, because that's what's coming down. The Most High said the truth shall be the stability of the times. It's the high time for you black people in here in America, which are the so-called, which are the real Jews, the Negroes in America, the real Jews. It's high time for you to wake out of sleep in your simplicity and your stupidity and come to the realization of who you really are. How in the hell would you want to be another nation less than who you are? You should want to be the greatest. The only great people on this earth are the Hebrew Israelites and the Jews and the chosen of the Most High. That's the only great people on this earth. The Lord tells you that that's who you are, but nah, you want to be somebody else less than them. That's why you, Most High, say you're foolish, and you're simple, and you're sottish children. Sottish means blockhead. And a lot of you walking around looking like blockheads with these haircuts that you got, cutting all the side of your hair off. That's why the Most High call you blockhead, and which is called, he's calling you stupid. He calls you a wild ass that snuffles up the wind. What is a wild ass that snuffles up the wind? That's somebody that has no control over the human faculties, run around wherever the wind blows, they suck up everything, accept everything and everybody, except who they really are, that they're the Hebrew Israelites that the Lord calls them. But that's why the Lord said 2/3 of our people got to be exterminated. 2/3 of them got to die. Because they're too simple, they're too ignorant, they don't want to come back to who they are. The Hebrew Israelites, the Lord's chosen. They want to accept everybody except who they are. They want the Africans and the other nations to be a part of them, which the Africans and the other nations don't want you a part of them. There's never been an African king stand up on a national platform and say, come home, my good black American Negro brother that has been oppressed in America for 450 years. Never have an African came forth and said that. Mandela didn't say it, and none of them other Biko, none of them other hard-head, knucklehead Africans never came here and said nothing about you. Haile Selassie didn't say a damn thing about the West Indians coming back to Africa either. All the Negroes over here. You want to run around and call yourself an African, just as simple as you can be. The Africans are using you just like the white man is using you. You better wake up before your life comes to an end. Read on what Abraham said.
And delivered to them the science of astronomy.
Abraham taught them astronomy, how to read the heavens and so forth. Like the high priest said earlier, the pyramids couldn't be made unless you had mathematical insight and knowledge. Even the scholars today can't figure out the dimensions and the measurement of the stones and how they was precisely placed upon each other. Thousands and thousands of these stones was precisely placed upon each other to the finest degree, to the finest denominator and metric order. They cannot figure this thing out today. They say that angels came out of heaven and made those pyramids. But we know according to the Bible, and we're going to read that after this, that the Lord had the Israelites to build these cities under Moses. on the leaders and